Nice. Hello and welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a 4-color build from Mark Strassman. This is a list that he was able to 5-0 with, which is very cool. It's a version that has a few splashes. So the core of the deck is a green-white Maverick deck. And then for the splash, we have blue for cards like Oko and Meddling Mage, and then red for blast effects in Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast, and then also Punishing Fire in the main deck as an extra removal spell. The last little bit of red that we have is Klothys, which I really like. I think that Klothys is a really hard to remove permanent right now. It's pretty good at applying pressure, and it can also give us a little bit of ramp when we need it, which is nice. This list is pretty interesting. So there's no Scrib Ranger, there's no Hex Drinker. It's a pretty foolproof Green Sun Zenith package. Really just making sure we have answers for some of the key parts that we want to have interaction with, and not having some of the kind of fun ofs in the deck. We're not running Cradle, we're not running Horizon Canopy. This is a pretty dual-based mana base, just to make sure we always have our colors. And then just the one Snow-Covered Forest in case we get into a bit of strife with Back to Basics or Blood Moon. The deck has 6 mana drops plus the Dryad Arbor to hopefully churn out a turn 2 3-drop in Oko, Knight, or Klothys. The Stoneforge Mystic package is back as well, which I haven't played with in a while, so I'm pretty happy to see how it goes. But I think in this shell it's really nice, especially because with Oko you can actually make your late game mana books or your Stoneforges or the equipment themselves into 3/3s and just keep attacking, which is pretty cool. So Stoneforge should be pretty fun. Luca Boring, you are incredibly correct. This is pretty spicy. I did change it slightly. I did take out the 4th Thalia and the 3rd Red Elemental Blast for 2 Force of Vigors, which I've been really enjoying. I hopefully don't come up against too many graveyard decks because we only have the one Bog in the sideboard. But main deck we do have Klothys and Skoos to kind of shore up those graveyard strategies. This should be pretty fun. I think that Punishing Fire is in a pretty weird spot, especially since the printing of Dreadhorde Arcanist and also 3/3s in general with Oko. Being able to deal 2 is a little bit irrelevant against a meta full of X3s, but I think with Oko to deal with some creatures, Swords to Plowshares, there's a good mix of removal here and ways to interact with those creatures. So Punishing Fire shouldn't be too bad. It's also just a great way to deal with Planeswalkers over time. It's a little bit of a mana sink, hence why the Thalias are in the sideboard. So we do have to rely on cards like Gaddock Teeg in the main deck to hate out combo in game 1. But Punishing Fire should be pretty fun to play with. Haven't played with it in a long time, but same with Stoneforge, so we'll see how that goes. One little thing as well is that we're playing 3 Sylvan Libraries, which is pretty huge. Mark has obviously just put a really big kind of target on wanting to have them as early as possible. And just the 3 Knights, so cut down on a Knight to make room for probably the other 3 drops in Oko and Klothys, which I don't mind. Knight's in a pretty weird spot. It's obviously a great attacker and a great tutor for things like Wasteland, but in a format where there's a lot of basics and a lot of creatures like Knight, Icefang Quaddle, it can be a little bit rough to be attacking in the blind with Knight. So I don't mind the drop of the Knight. We do have Green Suns to find it, so yeah, this should be pretty fun. On first look, we can see that the sideboard is very combo and blue deck. It's full of hate for blue and combo. Not a whole lot for FedEx. Probably looking at this sort of column here for the FedEx. But it will be interesting. I'm not too sure how to board against some of the decks we'll play against, but I think we will figure that out as we go along. Because obviously there's a lot to bring in against a deck like Show and Tell, perhaps. Yeah, I think the best thing we can do is go into straight to it. I hope you guys are doing very well. It is obviously Thursday here for me, Thursday night, which is nice. And I actually do have a really cool deck tech coming up tomorrow with Mark, where I'm going to have him on the channel. We're going to go through the deck on MTGO, talk over Discord, and just discuss sideboarding, what he thinks of Punishing Maverick right now, why he's playing this as well. So we'll see how that goes. Hey Jesse, hope you're well. Thank you very much. This should be pretty fun. We'll use play points. We will use... Yes, this is the correct list. Just want to make sure. We have in the past accidentally done some sideboarding pre-league and then entered a 65 card deck, so hopefully that won't come. Hey, thanks for the bits. Hope you're doing well in Melbourne. It's obviously not the greatest time right now, but yeah, hope you, your family and friends are doing well. And hopefully it won't be too long before we're kind of back to normal and playing some Paper Magic, and hopefully getting back to Eternal Weekend in Melbourne, which should be pretty fun. Oh. Nice. All right, match up. Up against Nicolo. Not sure if we've played before. This hand is pretty good. So we have a turn 1 mana dork into a turn 2 3-drop, which is great. So I definitely don't mind this hand. It's a little soft to something like Storm, but I don't think I'm going to be throwing this back. So I'm pretty happy to keep this. I think the best draw would probably be either Swords of Plowshares or Green Sun Zenith. Green Suns because it means we can go to Gaddock Teeg on turn 2. And Swords just as a relevant removal spell because Oko is good, but if my opponent's applying a lot of pressure to the board, I don't want to have a bunch of 3-drops against me. Hey, enjoy dinner. All the best, and I'll see you soon. I do like the mix of Noble and Bird here as well because of cards like Plague Engineer, which hasn't been seeing too much play, especially since if you're comparing it to when it first came out, but I think it's kind of a case of Plague Engineer was released. Obviously, it trumped on tribal decks pretty hard. Some of those tribal decks were able to compete, and so Plague Engineer was less effective. And now with the ones that it was really good against sort of falling out of favor, I think Plague Engineer is not seeing as much play as it probably should be. It's still a very nice card. Usually warrants an answer from most non-Storm decks. Mystic Sanctuary. So that's pretty interesting. Now the case is, which one of these would I like to get Swords if it was one of them? And I think it's the Bird. I probably don't mind having the Exalted as a backup. It just does a little bit more for the deck. And as we don't have to create black mana, I'm not too worried about the Bird being exiled here because Noble Hierarch makes all the color that we need. All the colors. This is going to be quite hot. Ponder, okay. This could also be something like the Shark Steel variants that are running around. Which would also be pretty scary. But I think next turn I'm just slamming an Oko and hopefully it resolves. I could take some time to maybe get the library down and the Noble Hierarch, but I think here just going for the Oko seems pretty good. I'm just gonna see what they did with this Ponder. They chose not to shuffle. Okay. Wasteland. Wasteland's pretty good as well. Wasteland's really nice, especially seeing this deck started on a Mystic Sanctuary. I'm going to go ahead and Wasteland first. I'm not playing around Daze, I'm probably playing around Spell Pierce, but I can't really play around that anyway, so... I'll just go green and 1 for the Sylvan Library. This resolving against a deck like a blue-white base deck is really nice, especially because they don't have any threats on board, so there's no pressure, so we can be pretty aggressive with drawing extra cards from the Sylvan Library. Force Negation pitching Typhoon, okay. So this does look like it's going to be a standstill deck. Which, maybe that means I should have led with the Noble Hierarch, because if they just untap and play a standstill here, then I would want to have at least a beater in play, but obviously that's not going to happen, which is quite nice. Here I'm pretty happy just to slam the Oko. I will need to generate green mana from this. Wow, that's going to resolve. That's pretty awesome. does mean Standstill isn't the greatest play for my opponent now. Even if they have a Shark Typhoon in hand, that's going to take a while to turn on. They could have Council's Judgment, which is a clean-ish way to deal with the Oko. We do already have some value with it from the food, but Judgment would be pretty nice for my opponent here. Nice set. Okay. Interesting. Opponent also fetching basics. Hopefully we don't get taken out by a main deck backed basics. That'll be pretty good. Pyroblast. Alright. I guess that means if they don't have a basic forest in the deck, they will have to search out a Jewel Land. Yeah, I think back to basics is something we can fear, but unfortunately with our draw, it's not something we can really play around. I think here I'm happy just to go for probably Knight and Noble Hierarch. So let's go Noble and then green white, use this for 1, play Knight. One blue. I did miss a point of damage with Exalted if I was attacking them, but because I was attacking the Narset for lethal, it didn't matter. Which is kind of nice, so I didn't have to really think about what I was going to play until after combat. But, great point. So there's the fetch. Most likely a duel here because they want to get that red source, which is kind of nice for us because it turns on this wasteland. It is interesting that I don't have a land currently that I can sack to the night, so I think next turn it's just going to be Ramunap, get back Wasteland. Oh, Green Suns. Let's have a quick... Okay, that's pretty interesting. So we have Green Suns for Kloths. That's pretty good. Yeah, they might have a Verdict. I can't really use this Knight this turn anyway, so I think we might as well go to attacks first and see if they have a Swords to Plowshares. Because if they Swords here, they probably don't have a Wrath. So the question is, do we go for Ramunap into Wasteland? Or do we play around a Wrath effect and just Green Suns for Kloths? If we Ramunap this turn for Wasteland and Wasteland them, and then we get Wrath, and we don't draw a land, we don't have access to 4 mana for the Green Suns. I could also go for Gaddock Teeg off the Green Suns, and then also hold up Karakas, which is kind of nice. So I might do that. And to do it, I might as well use my creatures. They're going to force this. Interesting. Okay. Maybe their last card is the Wrath. Or they just don't have a removal spell. Because they would need a second white source for the Supreme Verdict anyway. This is fine. Alright, back to us. Opponent, they're not drawing a land either, which is relevant. Another Green Suns. Okay. Nothing too spicy like a questing beast. So I think first up we might as well attack. They take 6. They missed a land drop last turn, so I think now's probably the time that I do want to go for Ramunap. It's interesting though, so we currently have lethal on board. So maybe I want a Green Suns for the Gaddock Teeg because that is the way that we don't lose this game, is a main deck Wrath. And now they have the Astrolabe for the second source, so I think going for Teeg here is fine. We also have the Karakas to hopefully save it from something like a Swords to Plowshares, but definitely looking pretty good. Teferi's okay. See what they bounce. If they bounce the Teeg, we can Karakas it in response. They're going to bounce the food. That's fine. Interesting. So now they really need something because we currently have lethal if we wasteland our owned land. Windswept Heath kind of does it as well. So now this is interesting. Go at the face and don't play around like Snapcaster Mage. I guess the Wasteland plan would have actually done it because we could see if they had Snapcaster or not. So that's a misplay. Yeah, so what I should have done is played Ramunap, got back Wasteland the Tundra. Knight's now a 4/4. If they cast Snapcaster, we can just swing both at Teferi, and then Karakas back the Gaddock Teeg that they probably block. But I mean, we might as well see if they can if they have anything here. Yeah, with Snap they can't plow 2 as well, which is nice. Shark Typhoon, interesting. That's gonna be fine. Just draws them a card, so now we can fetch. Get doesn't really matter, right? They take lethal. Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting one because I probably want some number of blast effects. I probably want the Bog if they're playing Mystic Sanctuary. I can probably drop down on swords. I don't mind punishing fire because usually these type of lists do have some number of planeswalkers. I don't mind dropping the extra Sylvan Library. I think 2 is still fine in this matchup. Klothys seems great. The Knights are okay. The Stoneforge Mystic package is interesting because if they're on the standstill build, then I do like the Stoneforge Mystic package. Definitely taking out these. Because they're bringing in board wipes, or most likely are, I think we can definitely also go down on Mana Dorks. Which probably means I want to go down on something like a Knight as well, just to not have too many 3-drops in hand. And Knight in this matchup is pretty good as a threat, but otherwise it's a little bit lackluster. Force of Vigor is interesting, but I don't think it does enough. I do like Thalia, even on the draw. I think it's okay. Because of the Thalias, I don't think we're going to be needing to sort of Green Sun Zenith straight away for something, so I don't mind dropping down on Green Sun Zenith either. We're actually down to 58, so perhaps I do want to keep that in. Meddling Mage is interesting, but I don't think there's anything that I really want to name. I think it might just be the an extra bird. Oh, actually, I'm going to take out a bird and bring in a noble just because of Exalted. And just stick with this. Ramunap's interesting as well. Because they're most likely going to be a deck that doesn't have too many non-basics. And they can play around Wasteland pretty well, but... Bird because I have more red. Yeah, that's actually interesting as well. Maybe the bird is worth it because we're also bringing in the blast effects. Just to be able to hold that up. I think we'll see how they actually go about their mana base in this game, and then maybe in game 3, if there is a game 3, we can take out Excavator if they do go sort of aggressively for basics early on. Collector Ouphe could also be brought in because it does interact with Astrolabe pretty well, but this hand is okay. This hand is actually quite nice because we can interact with Planeswalkers on the stack. We have a Sylvan Library, which is fantastic. Thalia is okay. And Green Suns allows us to go and get whatever we want. So I'm going to keep this. It's a little bit of a reactive hand, but luckily these 3 here allow us to have some sort of game plan for the start. Yeah, it's very true. That's a great point about back to basics. All right. I think I'm happy to play a turn slower than usual. But what I could do here is Wooded Foothills, go for a Taiga, and Green Suns just for Dryad Arbor. Which means next turn we can play the Sylvan Library or the Thalia and also hold up a blast effect. Hey Julian, welcome. Hope you're well. I'm doing pretty well. It's currently Thursday evening. I get to play some Legacy. Hope you're doing well. How's your week been? We're currently up a game as well against what looks to be Jeskai Standstill. This looks like a sort of Plowshares. Ah, Ponder. Okay, that's gonna be fine. So this is interesting. I'm probably more scared of their 3-drops. So I could play Thalia, hold up Blast, and then if it resolves, I can't play a 3-drop next turn. I'm definitely going with Foothills, and unfortunately we do have to go for probably just a Taiga. Sorry, a Plateau, because it's still a white source, but it's another red source for us as well. Yeah, so if the Thalia resolves, then we can't hold up Pyroblast, but because then they couldn't cast a 3-drop Walker next turn, I'm not too unhappy. Or a Back to Basics, for that matter. So I think I'm happy to go for... try to get down an actual beater here, and get some pressure on board. And let it resolve. Interesting. Played BANT Snoko. BANT Snoko seems really nice. It seems like it has a lot of draw to it, so you're able to put together a hand that can be good against any matchup relatively quickly, in case you kind of have the wrong half of your deck in your opening hand. Quickly throw out this tea bag. There we go. That was a lot easier than I thought. Ponder, okay. Interesting. A fair amount of cantripping early on. Brainstorm, Ponder, Ponder. Chose not to shuffle with the first Ponder. But we'll see what they do with this one. Choose not to shuffle. Okay. Wasteland. Currently dead. Going to play the library pre-combat. Looks like they're going to force it, pitching a ponder. Okay. I wanted to keep the Taiga open because it means if they play a back to basics here, we can still Pyroblast it in our turn. It looks like they're going to miss a land drop and just pass back. Wow. Savannah. Alright. Happy to attack for 2. Could attack with the Dryad Arbor, to be fair. Yeah, I'm happy to attack for 3 here. I mean, even if they have a Snapcaster to trade with the Dryad Arbor, it doesn't really mean much. Because we can just get it back. Oh, Containment Priest. That's interesting. That's going to resolve. Yeah. Let's just go with Savannah Pass. And then we have Double Blast open. Priest is interesting. Priest shuts down Green Sun Zenith. It also shuts down fetching for Dryad Arbor. They're going to get aggressive with it. Okay. I guess it's not a great blocker against a first striking 2-1, so it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, another missed land drop, which is pretty unfortunate for my opponent, especially on a deck like blue-white. You want to be hitting your land drops every turn, especially with the Thalia out as well. What's my opponent thinking about? Ramunap also a really nice blocker for the Containment Priest, which kind of keeps it at bay. And then also a great attacker into it because of it being a 2-3. So. Alright. Foothills. Definitely attack first. Swords. Okay. Let's go with... Ramunap. Get back Wooded Foothills. I can't get back the Dryad Arbor, which is interesting because of the Containment Priest. So we'll just go for Wooded Foothills here and just pass back. Another swords. Okay, that's pretty good. All right. Just a bunch of gas for my opponent. Oof. Not the greatest draws here, but can't do too much about that. This could be a Click or a Shark Typhoon. Interesting. I don't believe I can even Pyroblast this because it's not a spell that is cycling. Yeah, Dryad Arbor of Vial is very cool. I like that a lot. Dogs turned my computer off? Classic. Did they pull out a cord? Alright, I'm going to keep these fetches around because if I draw to Sylvan Library, I might actually want them. Thalia, okay. Let's go with this. Nice. I'm going to hide this Wasteland just so they don't know what to fetch with the polluted Delta. They might go for a Volcanic to have red, so I'm going to play the Windswept here and pass. Interesting game. They were playing and crashed in the power strip. Rough. What type of dogs do you have? Massive dog fan here. If this is a Snapcaster, I'm pretty happy to pyro it because then it just stops the swords from the bottom. But it looks like it's just another Containment Priest. Interesting. They could also play their own Karakas. Council's Judgment, rough. Just these Pyroblasts are not lining up too well. Especially now with a 3-tone clock from my opponent. There's probably a stage where I have to Pyroblast one of these... this Shark. We have one draw step, pretty much. Labrador German Shepherd. Nice. Oh, there's an Australian Shepherd? Very cool. Yeah, this is a pretty sweet list. This is Mark's list. Sword is interesting. I mean, we might as well try it. They have 2 cards left. Fetching is a little bit rough. But hopefully this is okay. At least it's a Snapcaster. All right. So we get to take out a Containment Priest here. And then go to 1. I can't fetch here as well because then it just puts lethal on board. So I hope this... I don't want them to do anything here, is what I'm trying to say, because... Tough spot. Ah, okay. That kind of means that they don't have an answer for this Noble Hierarch, which is great for us. Green Suns. That's interesting because we can Green Suns after this Containment Priest blocks. And I think we might just be going for Scavenging Ooze, because at least it can buy us some life. But maybe that's incorrect. Maybe Klothys is better. They have 2 cards in hand. Let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to play this as well, just in case they have like Spell Pierce, they want us to use it. I think it's Klothys. We have the Elemental Blast so we don't die from another attack, but maybe the Scooze is just worth it. Maybe it's worth getting Scooze here so we don't die to like another Containment Priest or like Snapcaster and then they have like Force Negation. Yeah, I think Scooze is just a still okay play because it also turns off Snapcasters coming in from them as well. So I'm going to get Scooze, and then we can just pass. And then in upkeep, I'm going to hit the Tundra. Klothys does take a turn to turn on, and I just thought I might not have that opportunity, unfortunately. I'm going to Brainstorm. This is interesting. I could hit the Brainstorm if I wanted to. But I think this is fine. Because if they tap out for something like Teferi or Snapcaster, we have the Ooze and we have the Elemental Blast. I would hate to Pyroblast the Brainstorm and then them have just Caster Teferi or Caster something else that's relevant. But definitely put up a fight. You know, we've drawn a few lands, which, I mean, flooding happens, especially in a deck like this where we're not playing Ponder or Brainstorm. You just have to play with the top of your deck and that's fine. But I think we've put up a really good fight for, you know, we've only seen 2 Thalis and a Ramunap as our creatures. And this Noble Hierarch and the Scavenging Ooze. So, yeah, cool to see the deck fighting even if it's not really hitting its strides in a game. One thing as well that I don't want to do here is I don't really want to fetch. The Swords was a great draw. So end of turn, if they do nothing, I'm just going to eat 1 creature with the Ooze and then hold up the other green and untap because I don't want to tap out and then have to fetch to eat a sword. Because I'm actually not too sure of how many jewels we have left in the deck, or green sources at that. I think maybe 1 more Savannah. Opponent not attacking is really interesting as well. So let's go eat Snapcaster. Okay. Now I might as well fetch. Get out probably the Trop. Because it means if we draw Oko, we don't have to tap the Noble Hierarch to use it. I could eat Arbor too. I'm going to keep that in our graveyard for now because of Night. But I'm happy to go after their graveyard. Alright. I'm going to keep this for Sylvan Library. Do we draw Oko? Stoneforge is pretty good as well. Alright, let's go with... Equip Sword, which is currently for 7. And there are 2 more creatures in the bin, so I can try to bait out some piece of removal here. And then cast a Stoneforge pre-combat. Okay. So now let's go to combat. Attack with Ooze. Looks like they have something. Snapcaster. Snapcaster is going to be fine. Because this has Pro Blue, I don't really care about it. And whatever it targets, we can just eat. Use Ooze to target that same slot's Plowshares. They have 1 card left. And yeah, they concede. Which is nice, because we did still have Dryad Arbor to eat and Containment Priest, which is 2, 6, 7, 8, and then the 2 from the sword is there, so... Just imagine an Ooze holding a sword. Yeah, it would be pretty interesting. I don't know how it would actually take a grip of the sword, but it did work, so that was pretty nice. Which is, yeah, a nice little start to the stream. Always nice to get up against the kind of blue-white decks, but as we saw there, our opponent did kind of stumble a bit on 3 lands, which I assume was holding them off something. At least multiple spells in a turn, but yeah, nice to get there. And yeah, Decklist is very cool. This is actually Mark Strassman's list, who's a big green-white-red Maverick fan, has some really good finishes with Punishing Maverick. And as I said before, we're doing a kind of podcast type thing tomorrow, just like a deck tech, where I'll have him on. We'll go over the deck and just go through how he sideboards as well. Just because I think sideboarding is so huge and a really interesting part of Legacy and how different players sideboard for different matchups, which should be pretty fun. Have I always played Maverick? No, so I got into Legacy with Death and Taxes, which I still have my best paper Magic results with. But then I do have a pretty nice Legacy collection, thankfully. So I've played Shardless Bug, Esper Vial, a few different Bug variants, 4-color Loam, Blue-White Stoneblade. But I think Maverick's definitely one of those decks. It's just so fun to tweak that it's really... yeah, really rewarding to play with. Okay, JPA. JPA is usually on Sneak, but could be on Delver. Always a pretty intimidating player to play against. But, this is an interesting one. It's a 1-lander, which isn't the greatest against Delver or Sneak. I don't have the fastest clock. It really relies on the lands we draw into. The Gaddock Teeg is okay. It does stop a hard cast sneak attack against Show and Tell. And it also stops some of their Cunning Wish lines, but usually now they can play around it pretty easily with things like Eldumri's Call. Over voltage, that is more than fine. It was a really nice deck to get into Legacy with. Oh, that's rough. That's yeah, I hope you get some more pretty quickly, because that's really stupid. I think I'm gonna mulligan this. I think this hand kind of loses to itself, especially if the Noble gets taken out. So I'm gonna mulligan this. I want to have a good mana base. This is fine, but a little bit rough depending on what JPA is playing, because the swords could be great, but I think this is going to be a keep and then just bottom one of the swords. Please go for Volk. Okay, that's nice. Ah, but they are playing Delver. Okay. Interesting. Oh, also opponent down to 6 cards, which is interesting, so I'm pretty happy to go after their mana here. Even though I have a Delver in play, which is a little bit rough, I think this is okay. Just don't have Stifle one time. Okay. Because of our base, I'm just going to go for a snow-covered forest here and play one of the birds out. This means it can't get Wastelanded, which is nice. The bird can get bolted, but I think that's okay. There's Wasteland. Some lists do play Stifle, which is a little bit rough, but... So I can play around... What I can do is, if I play the Wasteland and then cast the Noble Hierarch or Bird, they can just daze it to return the Volk and save the Wasteland. And then I have to tap the Wasteland for mana, which they can then just Wasteland, so they kind of get to keep their Volk. So I like Wasteland here. I'm not playing around Stifle here because if I did, I'd want to do it in their upkeep. But yeah, I don't want to lose my Wasteland to their Wasteland, which is pretty much what I'm trying to say. Okay, that's pretty nice. Someone's going to go for Bird again. I actually might go for Noble. The Bird is a little bit more of an asset because it can block the Delver for a turn, which might add up. And I don't think I'm in a rush to get red mana. I'm really in a rush to get the Swords of Plowshares online, so we'll go for Noble here. And then just pass back. Yeah, some Rogue players do. If you see Dreadhorde Arcanist, they're most likely not. But otherwise, you definitely could be seeing it. Volk. Dreadhorde. Okay, Dreadhorde's pretty good here. Especially with the Bolt in play. I feel like I do have to Swords the Dreadhorde here. And then just play the Bird. Force, pitch Force, okay. Let's go with Trop then into Bird. They can put me down to 2 mana sources here. They could also just bolt my face if they wanted to. Once I get the Bird, okay. That makes sense. Swords. Okay, that's pretty nice. They have 1 card. If it's Spell Pierce, I have to play the Taiga here. Swords this. Happy to just, I guess, let this Dreadhorde maybe take the game here with a Bolt. Tarmogoyf is very good. Okay, that's a start. I'm gonna go for Ooze here. Ponder's pretty good. Hopefully a shuffle. Chose not to shuffle. Rough. Yeah. Rough. I guess I could try to save a turn by fetching for Dryad Arbor there and blocking, but I don't think that's a great spot. Here's an interesting one. I do like the Bog. I do like some number of blast effects. I don't mind Thalia on the play, but it's really a case of what don't I want, and that's always an interesting one. I don't think I want this 3rd Sylvan Library. I don't want the Gaddock Teeg. I don't want the Pridemage. I don't mind keeping in the Stoneforge Mystic package, especially on the play. I could see myself going down on the Green Suns, because there isn't one specific thing I'm going for. Maybe it's just another blast effect, just to make sure I can see at least one, maybe in my opening couple of turns. Yeah, sometimes that is have it, which is a little bit rough, but I could get out on a Punishing Fire, especially seeing how it doesn't do too well against the Arcanist. Yeah, I think Mark just built this because he really wanted to see Sylvan Library in his opening hand. And if you can get it down turn 2, then maybe you can just keep shuffling away the ones you don't want to draw into. This is interesting. Might just be a mage. I think mage is probably a little bit meh. I might just bring in the Green Suns. It is still pretty good. I mean, just for consistency reasons as well. It means that we have 5 copies of Scavenging Ooze if we need it. This hand is a little bit rough. I really want a turn 1 mana dork, and this hand doesn't provide that. I don't really even want to play the Scavenging Ooze on turn 2. I really want to play it as a 4/4 later on in the game, so I'm going to mulligan this. This is better because I can bottom the Dryad Arbor. Keep bottom. I'm going to go for a Taiga into Bird. I think I'd rather the red source than the white source. This hand is a little bit dead to like a Bolt and then Daze on Green Suns, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. The Bog in the opening is also a little bit rough, but can't have it all. Brilliant, okay. Pyroblast. So I think here I just want to build out my mana base. I don't want to play the Bog yet. Dreadhoard's going to be fine. Especially seeing we have the Swords to Plowshares, which is nice. Library's really nice, so maybe I want to see the library resolve first. Guess it depends, because something like Bolt is really bad for me as well. So I think dealing with the Arcanist in play right now is probably correct. Hey Wishy, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? I thought it was Damo. Haha. Hey man, hope you're well. Currently down a game against Rug Delver. But hopefully if they fight over this on the stack, we can Pyroblast the Force. See how this plays out. I might even be inclined to play the Bojuka Bog here, because if they untap, fetch, and play Hooting Mandrills, then it seems like a kind of waste of the Bog. I think hitting these 2 cards is okay. Ah, interesting. Yeah, I thought it was weird that, because I swear you have been on before. But yeah, hopefully I make down to the coast in a few weeks, and we can catch up. Has been way too long, especially with the pandemic happening. JPA having a good think about this one. They are going to force it. Pitching Ponder. Okay. We will fight. Nice. Play the Bog. Target them. Attack with the Dryad. You should be able to message them, because usually they're pretty good about that. Even an Oko here isn't the worst. Klothys is pretty good. We don't have a great way to answer that. Sword. Okay. Let's go for Sylvan Library first. Hold up that blast. And I guess attack with the Dryad Arbor here. Is the Abzan list still being played? Yeah, definitely. I think Abzan Maverick's in a pretty good spot. If not the best spot right now. Abrupt Decay is really nice. Plague Engineer is really nice. There's a few other cards that are really nice as well. Like Kaya. You get access to... Sometimes Thoughtseize in the board can be okay. I wonder if they should have Wastelanded me in their upkeep and then made this mana for Oko so I couldn't have Pyroblast here. I assume they have something like Daze, or else they wouldn't have made this play. Yeah. Because there's really no point, if you don't have the Daze, in not using the Wasteland in your upkeep or draw step. Another Wasteland, rough. At least we can be pretty aggressive with the Sylvan Library. I think we're just gonna go with the sword here. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, this is what Rug can do. The Klothys is really nice. I didn't expect it, but I don't have a great answer of it anyway, so I don't think I would have wooded any differently. Yeah, I think if they elk the sword, it's fine, because they are pressuring me right now, my life total. I am at 9 life, so I wouldn't mind to start getting a little bit aggressive and having something on board that can at least attack the Oko. But this is a tough spot because my mana's just really bad now, so I don't have access to white mana if I attack with the birds. I can't pay an extra for one of these because then the Klothys just kills me. So I think really it's just a concession because it just didn't really work out the way that I wanted it to. The Pyroblasts were okay, but I really brought them in for Delver and Oko, but the start on Klothys was just pretty rough, so I think we just have to give this one up, unfortunately. But yeah, Rogue's pretty tough. Just so many ways to attack us. Punishing Fire is okay against Delver of Secrets, but it's useless against Arcanist, Oko, and Tarmogoyf. And then like Swords of Plowshares is fine, but then it doesn't deal with Oko or Klothys. It's kind of a case of all the removal is great against some things and not against the others, which is pretty tough. I just think Rug's a little bit too good right now, and something needs to be done because it just seems a little bit tier 0 at the moment in regards to the rest of the format. It just doesn't have a really bad matchup, which is pretty tough. I do like formats where it's kind of rock, paper, scissors, where deck A beats deck B, but deck C beats deck A kind of situation. But yeah, I think with Maverick, you just have to get early mana acceleration into a good threat and then just hopefully protect it, which is a little bit hard to do because I have seen cards like Submerge being run. Oko, of course, is a pretty nice answer to anything bigger than a 3/3. Just a tough time. All right. Up against Audio 336. This hand is pretty good. I don't mind this. Turn 1, we can accelerate with Dryad Arbor. We then have Sylvan Library or Stoneforge or Punishing Fire for a turn 2, so happy to keep this. Prismatic Vista. Okay, this is going to be ninjas. Interesting. So ninjas is a deck that usually attacks with small creatures and then uses ninjutsu to put in creatures that have a better effect. That's pretty nice. This means we can go a turn 2 Oko if we really want to. Yeah, I think ninjas actually did pretty well in the challenge. I think it had maybe 1 or 2 placings in the top 16. Maybe looking to counter this, which is interesting. No, okay. That's nice. Punishing Fire going to be pretty good at keeping a creature off the field, which is really nice. Drown in the lock, okay. I'm just going to go for Karakas into Sylvan Library here. So this is, for 2 mana you can create a 1/1. For 1 mana you can sack a servo to create a 1/1 Thopter with flying. Or you can sacrifice a Thopter to create a 4/4 artifact, which is kind of cool. Another Foundry. Petty Theft. Okay. It's probably fine. Probably happy just to go after their mana. And just replay the Sylvan Library. I'm gonna force it. That's fine. At least it wasn't the O-code being forced. And if they want to create a 1/1 here, yeah, so now they have no cards in hand. Which is kind of nice for us. Because I think here we will just go for Oko. Just make a food. Oh, wait. All good, all good. Create a food and then pass. We do get punished here if they draw into an ninjutsu creature. Ah, they can use both of them. That's fine. That's gonna be fine. So now we just have to fade this 1 turn. Okay, this is fine as well. Bird, interesting. So we have a land to play. So they can sack this to make a 4/4. I still like making this a 3/3. We can fetch. I'm going to get a Taiga. And then we can play Bird and hold up Punishing Fire. I'm going to hold up the Karakas as well because one of their ninjutsu creatures is a legendary creature. So I can return it to their hand. I'm gonna block like this. See if they ninjutsu anything. It looks like they won't. I'm gonna punishing fire this. Windswept. I'm probably in a position to go for Batterskull, but I definitely like Knight first. Create a food. Fetch. Maybe Jide is just the play here. Jide does stop their ability to go wide as well, which is kind of nice. But yeah, really cool deck. Probably one of the cheaper decks of the format as well. Opponent just showing that they can't really beat what we have, which is kind of nice. I don't mind Ouphe. Ouphe's interesting because it does turn off our own package of Stoneforge Mystic here. Maybe it's the forces that I don't mind, and then I don't mind these either because a lot of their payoff creatures are blue. I think removal is great. Again, it's probably just this Sylvan Library that's a little bit too good. Sorry, a little bit too heavy. I think 2 is fine, especially on the draw. I could see myself dropping a Wasteland as well, seeing that their mana base is predominantly basics. Gaddock Teeg doesn't do a whole lot. Ramunap probably not doing a whole lot in this matchup. I might go down on a Hierarch or 2. Just to have the 4 here. I think that's okay. Just because they probably do have some number of Plague Engineers or something like Liliana Last Hope in the deck, which I assume they're going to name human, so... it sounds great. 2 pieces of nice removal, Green Suns for whatever we wish, which is nice, and then a Knight as a payoff, so I'm going to keep this. Grove. Okay, that's pretty nice. Alright. Fetch. Gonna go for a Taiga. And go for Green Suns, because it does mean we can then play Grove and Punishing Fire next turn. Brainstorm. Interesting. The old end step Brainstorm. Fetch is okay. Fatal Push. Ponder. Sure. Haha. Hey JY. Hope you're well. Ornithopter, okay. So here I'm just going to play the Tundra, which allows me to cast both the Swords to Plowshares and the Punishing Fire. And I'm probably happy just trying to hit what they put in with the Ornithopter. Because then if it fails, we can just untap and Punishing Fire Grove. So let them attack. They ninjutsu this and put in something else, which is a 1/3. Now hopefully they don't have a counterspell here. They don't, which is really nice. They do get to recast the Ornithopter here, but that's fine because we have the backup Punishing Fire, which we can also get back with Grove, which is pretty sweet. Could also just slam a Knight, which I don't mind. I think maybe Knight here is just a little bit better. Doesn't play around Daze, but I think that's okay. Maybe I do want to play around Daze. Maybe because we have this Punishing Fire here that I'm happy to. Yeah. Hey JY, you played any Magic recently? Oh, I don't want a 5. I did, rough. Oh, Oko's pretty good. Not at all. Yeah, that's fair enough. It's kind of a weird time for paper Magic at the moment. I think Tim actually borrowed one of your decks for a modern event recently. Yep. At least this means we do have Retrofitter, okay. We do have access to Karakas, which is nice. Again, I should have used the Grove, but I didn't. Haha. Let's try for Oko. Resolves, nice. I'm going to create a food. And then I'm just going to sack my Plateau. I'm going to sack the basic, actually, just to get Karakas and Karakas this to their hand. I could wait, but I think this is fine. Do I play Modern? I used to play a lot of Modern. I started off with Green White Hate Bears, but I finished with Blue Moon, which I was a massive fan of. That deck was really fun to play. But that was before Arclight Phoenix got printed. So Blue Moon kind of moved to a really fast blue-red deck, which I guess now is probably just something similar to Mono Red Prowess. But I know the Blue Moon has come back a little bit. It's a little bit different to what it was, but especially during the Hogak era, I didn't play at all. So there was a Brisbane GP, which is my local city, which was Modern, I think maybe nearly 3 years ago now. And then after that, I didn't play too much. I think just because of kind of a little bit of burnout, just playing so much up to it. And then Legacy kind of took off, so it was pretty nice to use my one kind of night that I wanted to play Paper Legacy or Paper Magic and just play Legacy. Yeah, Modern's in a weird spot. I feel like Modern, you have a lot of decks that don't care about each other. Eliminate, that's going to be fine. I'm not going to play... I guess I could play around Surgical Extraction here on the Punishing Fire by untapping with Knight to get another Grove, so I'm just going to do that. I think we have enough mana anyway. Oh, Klothys is pretty spicy. How do I want to tap for this? I think like this. And then just get in. Just get in for 5. I am being very lazy with this Punishing Fire. I apologize, but not in a big rush right now to actually grab it, which is kind of nice. Back to basics. this is okay because we have the Pridemage and open mana for it. And we also have the Klothys, which is really cool. Okay. So they have 4 cards left. All right, let's eat one of their lands and create a green mana. Then create a white mana for Pridemage, and hopefully it resolves. It does. Bang. Attack for 6 with Exalted. How come Legacy moved off Tuesdays? I'm not sure. I know that Wednesdays at Upper America Vat has been doing really well. It might just be a change in people's schedules. I don't believe my opponent is going to play Stifle, but I think just because it's so easy here to just hit this back to basics now and not have to worry about anything, I'm happy just to do that. But yeah, Legacy Tuesdays was really cool. I was a massive fan of that, especially at the very old store. That was always really nice. Just a bunch of folk who love the format. 2 Chainlings. Okay. Alright, this is where we can hopefully get him. 2 cards left. Let's go for... hopefully get back Punishing Fire. What do people play on Tuesdays, Thursdays? I'm not too sure. I think that Good Games Brisbane is playing Pioneer perhaps on Thursdays. But on the other ones, I'm not too sure, unfortunately. I'm going to take out this Eliminate. Put him to 6. Let's go for Punishing Fire this. Oh, they can sack it. Interesting. Okay. I'll still attack. Maybe I actually want to... yeah, so what I should have done is actually Punishing Fire the other Changeling before going to attacks, because if I attack here and they just double block and then have a counterspell for the Punishing Fire, I'm doomed. So I think we're just going to probably just play the second Knight, to be fair. It looks like they had the Force as well, so that's pretty nice. What about you, JY? What have you been filling your time with? Fetch. Fighting games in Valorant, very nice. They're going to cast a Brazen Burrower, that's really interesting. Valorant's pretty cool. Attack with these, that's fine, no blocks. Put in this one. I think you drew a card off this. Okay. I am going to do some fetching here just to make these knights bigger. I'm actually going to get Wasteland, because it means we can Wasteland ourselves if we really need to. Draws a card of each ninja. Thanks, Bit. I think I'm happy just to untap here. See what we draw. Sword. I'm going to eat Fatal Push. Put him down to 4. I'm going to do something in response. Cling to Dust. Okay. Gonna go to combat. Gonna see if they sack anything before. Punishing Fire once. Return. Punishing Fire twice. Hey Jerry, welcome. Hope you're well. Hope Florida is doing okay. Is it pretty warm this time of year in Florida? They have the petty theft. Interesting. Okay. Now how do they block? They have to. This is fine. They are drawing some pretty good cards from these ninjas, so have to deal with it pretty quickly. Double Ornithopter, rough. Alright, let's go for this Punishing Fire. Oh, they have Surgical here? Oh, maybe the Cling to Dust. Ah, I should have played around the Cling to Dust. That's a bit of a stupid play from me. Another knight. Alright. Let's go after their Cling. Now let's attack. They can block and then sack it to the Foundry, I believe. 30s to 40s? Wow, okay. Interesting. Alright. You get heavy thunderstorms. I kind of like that. I like it when it's quite warm and it just fades away. Another Retrofitter. Okay, one card left in their hand as well. This is a spicy game. I think I can play tighter, but I've just been really enjoying it that it's kind of hard not to. Ooh, that's pretty big. Let's go after Brainstorm. Alright, I'm just going to attack first. This is going to be fine. I think I just hopefully get the Klothys to resolve next turn. And just take him out with Punishing Fire. I think that's the win. I think it's playing a little bit slow here, but that's fine. Fire them. All right, they got a 2. They're going to try to do something in here. Ah, they don't have an out. Very nice. There we go. Playing the long game. Punishing Fire really showing itself there. I'm going to assume there are better ways that I could use Punishing Fire there as an asset to take out their threats. And I probably should have, you know, traded 2 Punishing Fires for this a few turns ago, but we had fun. We had fun. And we got the outcome that we wanted, so pretty nice. It's actually pretty cold here in Australia. Hey Min, welcome. Congratulations on the new site. For those fans of high quality legacy content, there we go. Min-Max blog. The Min-Max blog just got a big do-over, which you can check out at the Min-Max blog. I actually crawled it with Screaming Frog, which is a SEO tool that I use at work, and the site was perfect. No 404s, image sizes are fine, all the redirects are done really well. Big fan. It was actually quite nice to pick up and have a look at it. But yeah, hope you're doing well. Min, how is the house hunt going? If you haven't already found a place. Interesting. Ah. So Portian actually, I think, won a challenge recently. This hand is interesting. Batterskull's a little bit dead, so this is really a 6. And I'll probably keep this 6. But are there better 7s that turn into 6s? That's the big question. I think there are. I don't really want to use the Green Sun straight away for a Dryad Arbor. And the Batterskull right now is just a little bit dead, so I think it's just a little bit too fair, but it's interesting. We have removal, we have access to really whatever we want with the Green Suns, which is nice. We're closing out Dream Home on Tuesday. Very cool. That is awesome to hear. I'm very happy for you. I'm going to mulligan this, but I think there is a consideration to keep it because outside of the Batterskull, it is quite a nice hand. But yeah, I'm going to mulligan this. This is a 4-color Maverick deck. So this is playing blue for Oko and Meddling Mage, and red for Klothys, Punishing Fire, and also Blasts in the sideboard, which is kind of cool. This deck list is from Mark Strassman, who's a big Punishing Maverick player. I'm going to keep this and bottom the Dryad Arbor. Batterskull here again, which is pretty funny, but maybe it's the, yeah, I think it is the Dryad Arbor here. Just a little bit too slow, unfortunately. Minland, I like that. Ponder of a snow-covered island. Alright. Wonder what the ponder did. They chose to shuffle. That makes me think initially that they're missing mana. Swords. That's kind of nice in case you're up against some sort of Delver deck, but here I'm happy just to go for Noble and pass. Hey, 2 letters, welcome. I hope you've been well over the years as well. How's your week going? Have you played any Magic? Just gonna pass here. We can't do anything, so I guess I could not 6 here and act like we're on Infect, but this looks like it's gonna be like a Dark Snow variant, which is gonna be pretty rough to beat. I don't want to throw in the towel yet, but Snow has a really nice way of just grinding out games, which Maverick usually does pretty well, but in this case, they just grind so much better. All their cards draw a card. They have some really great pieces of removal. It's pretty tough. The Box Wars? I haven't heard of them before, but that's an interesting one. Box Wars. Oh. I don't think I've actually ever heard of the Box Wars, Jerry. I'm going to have to Google this after, because that does sound pretty interesting. I'm going to hold up the swords here in case my opponent plays Uro. I'd probably rather have that than just get in for 1 with the Noble Hierarch. Trop. Narset, okay. Interesting. Guess that means we can 6 this turn, to be fair. Swords. Alright. I think my best draw would be like Wasteland and another Exalted creature. I guess it doesn't really matter, because if we attack the Narset for 1, they have to remove it from play if they want to use it again. Ah, of course, it shut down the Narset, the Sylvan Library. That's pretty sweet. Oh, hey, Jono. Nasa goes to 2. We know they have swords, which they can cast with the Astrolabe. I still think it's okay just playing out this Ramunap. But it's a tough one because they're probably inclined not to tick down the Narset here, just to turn off our Sylvan Library. Which is pretty rough, because outside of Punishing Fire, we don't have a great way to deal with it. Yeah, we did think that we're going to have a 3-mana Walker, but I didn't think of Narset. I was kind of hoping for Teferi tick down on Sylvan Library, because at least Noble Hierarch can kill it, and then we can recast it. Alright. Oko goes to 6. Swords. Yeah, this is looking really tough. Come on, Exalted creature. Punishing Fire, okay. Ah, okay, so trigger on the stack. We can Punishing Fire the Narset. Now we get to resolve this. We will use it. And I'm definitely going to pay for this. And probably just pay for this as well, to be fair. Now we can play Grove and also play our own Oko. This turned out to be a pretty nice turn. Okay. So Punishing Fire there are a really nice pickup. Abrupt Decay, always. Just a little bit rough. I mean, we can tap out for Batterskull. Okay. Put on top and pay for this. They have 2 cards left. So let's go for probably Oko first. Make the food an artifact. Make the food a creature, sorry. And now just play the Stoneforge Mystic. Probably go and get Jide. Make them think that we don't have the Batterskull in hand. Ice Wing's pretty good because they can now pretty much force us to block with the Stoneforge Mystic to keep the Oko, which I think I'm okay with, unless they have 2 pieces of removal here. Yeah, the Oko is looking pretty nice. So they're going to make this a 3-3. Going to go to combat. See how they swing. They're attacking me. Interesting. Alright, well I'm happy to block probably the Astrolabe. And then take 4 and go to 3. Is that a Yorion? Oh, they're playing... Interesting. They're playing Yorion. Okay. That's pretty interesting. Put on top, put on top. I probably just want to hold up Batterskull here and Swords to Plowshares. Maybe a food token as well, just to try to draw an extra card the following turn. So I have access to 5 mana, which means Batterskull, Sword, and if I need to, I can create a food. Yeah, okay, let's put this on... I'm going to put this on top. Alright. Create a food and just pass. And then I can hold up Swords for Batterskull. Yeah, I think this is fine. Yeah, not the greatest attacks yet. Looks like they have another Ice Fang. That's pretty good. We do also have that Punishing Fire left, which is interesting. Here I'm probably happy just to Swords. No, I'm going to keep this one because they're obviously making this a 3-3 to attack us, and then they have Yorion to bounce them. But if I can trade with this, with the Batterskull, or at least kill it with the Batterskull, I'm okay with that. To keep a Swords for this Ice Fang. Put in Batterskull. They have a trophy? Huh. Well, that's interesting. I guess we don't have another basic, so... Yeah, this is rough, because I can't really afford to just throw it away. I guess we get a shuffle, which actually isn't the worst. I'm gonna swords this one because it's one that can get recast. Oof. Is that just game? I mean, we can eat the food, go up to 6, and then we just take 7. Yeah. Rough. Tried to play around the Yorion, but couldn't play around the trophy and the force. So this is going to be pretty interesting. I do like just all 4 pyros in this matchup. Mages are interesting, but I'm not too sure what I wouldn't be going after. I do like Collector Ouphe. Ouphe is interesting. It turns off the Astrolabes, but it also hits our ability to actually use our Stoneforge Mystic package. I still like Punishing Fire. I can probably go down on some number of swords. Yeah, if I play Mage, it's probably for something like Dead of Winter. But I don't have a great way to protect the Meddling Mage. That's the big issue. Punishing's actually been doing pretty well. It definitely won us a game against ninjas, which is nice. It gives us some reach in this matchup, which is pretty nice. I'm going to drop a Wasteland. I'm going to drop some number of Noble Hierarchs because I don't want to rely on them when they're probably bringing in sweepers. I don't mind a Force because sadly these decks can play back to basics, but we did see a few jewels of theirs, so maybe I don't need that. I think the 3 libraries are okay for this matchup because of how many outs they have to it. I think Ramunap is fine to take out because I don't think bringing back Wasteland every turn is going to be that great. I'm going to bring in Bog because it's nice against Uro, and also Snapcaster Mage if they play it. It is a Yorion deck, which is interesting. I might drop 1 sword. Sword isn't the greatest in this matchup. I don't want to be trading a removal spell that doesn't draw me a card or have some extra value like Punishing Fire against a card like Icefang Koala where they're already drawing a card off it. It might just be Gaddock Teeg, to be fair. Their sweepers are probably in Plague Engineer and Dead of Winter, so I don't think Teeg does a whole lot in this matchup, other than turn off our own spells like Force and Green Suns. I'm actually going to drop this. I'm going to bring in the Knight. I think Knight's just a little bit better. Knight's the value that I want because it can destroy something like an Astrolabe and then have to spend a card to actually deal with the Knight as well, so that's pretty sweet. See how this sides. Yeah, Snoko's rough, but it's always nice to try to ink out some sort of advantage. I think this is fine. It's a turn 2 Oko, and if they have a counterspell, it's another turn 2 Oko, so I'm going to keep this. But yeah, Snoko is definitely not the greatest deck to play against as a creature-based deck. Swords. Like, Pyroblast here is just such a great answer to Oko. But I guess they have to have it. And if they tap out for Pyroblast here, at least then we have one coming down later on. Brainstorm's okay. Yeah, it's really sad when I'm actually cheering on Force of Will, because I know they're going to 2-for-1 them at least. Because if they force it, they're not Pyroblasting it, which means they're just trading it for 1 card. Honda. Okay, they're digging. Other swords. Just not where I want to be here. I want to be drawing more threats so that if they deal with the Oko, there's more on board to actually deal with. And I think here, just so I can actually like draw a land and then tap out for Batterskull, I'm happy to bog here. Takes a little bit of value off them, but I'd probably rather be bogging down the road. There might have also been consideration to actually steal the Astrolabe just to make their mana a little bit weaker, instead of making the food a 3/3, which is pretty interesting. I'm gonna fetch my draw step. Probably means trophy because they wanted us to draw the basic. This is fine. So now we can either play Ochre or play the Batterskull. I don't mind tapping out for Batterskull. Definitely attack first. Could have also attacked with 6. But I think here just playing the Batterskull is fine, because if they have something like Dead of Winter, it means we can still cast the Oko next turn. Yeah, sadly I can give him a 3/3 Elked Batterskull, which I assume this Batterskull isn't long for the world, unfortunately, but gotta play out what we have. Strix is fine, because we have the swords here. Yeah, that's fair enough. My opponent could hit the Germ, unfortunately. Swords the Germ. That's fine. Take 3. Now I probably want to go with Sylvan Library and then just Noble Hierarch. Hey Wolf, hope you're well. Fetch on the Misty. Is this another Brainstorm? Yeah, wow. Hey Wolf, did you make affiliate? I feel like you did. Alright. The Sylvan Library really nice because it has to be answered, especially with us at 24 life. Nice, man. Very cool. Going after the bird. Interesting. Destroy all non-basic lands? Alright. That's a thing. But not the greatest when we have the Sylvan Library out. And we have Oko in hand, so we just gotta find one more land and we're good to go. I'm gonna make the Batterskull a 3/3 and just get in for 6. Ruination's very interesting. Abundant growth. Okay. So let's look at what we saw. Ruination is very spice. If they're playing Ruination, they're probably not playing back to basics, so I probably don't need the Force of Negation, which is nice to know. I do like going down on a Swords. Just because they're a little bit dead, and the Pyroblasts and the Punishing Fires kind of do enough in this matchup. If they're playing Ruination, I could see myself bringing in just an extra mana dork to try to get ahead on mana early on. Ruination is also pretty funny because we're playing Knight. So I think if we have a Knight on board that they can't answer, they can't really play Ruination. I do think Collector Ouphe is worth it, so I'm going to take out a Green Sun Zenith and go with this. I could bring back Ramunap, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. Unfortunately, its body just doesn't line up well, especially against Elks. And I guess if I have a Ramunap in play, it's probably only a one-off Ruination. I think I'd rather go after their mana. But it's an interesting one. Yeah, red's really sweet. So Klothys is obviously one of the big cards that you want to get on the board. Teeg's interesting. Teeg does stop Ruination and Force, but that's about it. The big issue with Teeg is that it doesn't stop Oko. It doesn't stop Dead of Winter. I think that's where you want Collector Ouphe, because it just allows you to turn off the Astrolabes. Like in that turn, in that game, my opponent didn't have access to white mana outside of Astrolabe, which is pretty insane. See how this goes. I could drop the Batterskull, to be fair. This isn't the greatest Batterskull matchup. If I drop a Batterskull, I drop a Stoneforge Mystic. That gives me 2 slots to play around with. So maybe that makes me want to have the Green Suns and Noble Hierarch because it allows me to go for Collector Ouphe earlier. Yeah, I'm going to see how this goes. A little bit risky playing the full 6 mana dorks against this deck, but I think this will be pretty fun. We're both around the same amount of time as well. Unfortunately, can't keep a no-lander, so I'm going to mulligan this. Okay, I'll keep this. This is an interesting one. So I definitely want the 2 lands. I definitely want the Birds of Paradise and the Oko. I probably want the Punishing Fire because it's a nice piece of removal. And then it's between Knight and Stoneforge. I think because of this hand, it's probably the Knight that I put back, because at least I can find it with Green Suns, so there's effectively 5 versions in the deck. So I'm going to do it like this. This also means if we play a turn 1 bird and it gets destroyed, we do have Stoneforge as the turn 2 play if we drew into a white source. Yeah, sadly if the bird goes, then we're doing it rough. Astrolabe. I do think with Astrolabe it is a when it gets taken out, not an if. I'm so glad they got that card ban in my format. Yeah, unfortunately it's still around, which definitely sucks. It makes the Wasteland decks that I love a lot worse, but what can you do sometimes? Oh, this is interesting. Noble. I'm going to play the Stoneforge Mystic here and hold up Pyroblast. It's going to get legit. That's fine. At least that was a nice trade. We played a creature, we got value out of it in a card, and then our opponent played a card that actually didn't really matter. So now the big draw is, can we draw a land here to play Oko and also hold up Pyroblast? We can't, but Klothys is pretty solid. All right. Feels like an Ice Fang. Fetching all mana in my turn. That's interesting. Snap Swords the bird? Yeah, very true. We didn't need to give him the life. They're going after my mana pretty hard. Strix is okay. Interesting. It looks like they missed a land drop. What do you think that needs a ban in the format? I'm not sure if it needs it, but one card that I think is pretty poor right now is Astrolabe. I just think it gives a lot of decks a really unfair advantage. But outside of that, that's about it. Huh, okay. Let's take out the Ponder. Play a land. Play Noble, which gives us access hopefully to blue mana next turn. And then we can just hold up Pyroblast and Punishing Fire. Yeah, I think a lot of formats are coming around to banning Astrolabe, and it just hasn't been Legacy, which is a little bit unfortunate. Klothys does make mana, but it doesn't make blue mana, unfortunately. No, all good. I've been there. This is interesting. That's going to be fine. Yeah, Gravid, that's an interesting point. Obviously in a pretty tough spot right now. I'm pretty happy to actually probably try to hit the snap here, just to save some life points. And then maybe... Oh, this taps for... No. Oh, can they cast Oko here? No, okay, all good. Alright. Okay, so now we're looking pretty good. Klothys can get rid of Ponder. We can play Oko and hold up Pyroblast. Can't beat their own Pyroblast though. Happy to hold up the Grove because now we can hold up either Punishing Fire or Pyroblast. Alright. Gonna use this here to get back, hopefully, the Punishing Fire. Nice. Scoos, that's interesting. I'm gonna keep going after their things. They have 4 cards left. I think I'm okay with just Scoos and pass. Holding up Scoos and also Pyroblast here. I could also play the other Noble Hierarch here, which is interesting, but... yeah, the Klothys is really dealing some nice damage, so... I think this is fine. This also turns off like Snapcast to end a Brainstorm in their turn. Can't stop Decay. Uro. Uro's gonna be pretty good. I could actually Pyroblast this and then eat it. I think that's okay. There's no need for Pyroblast if I don't want to give them the card. Maybe I am... no, because... okay, so the reason that I do want to Pyroblast here is that it could ETB, they put a land into play, and then they put another land into play, and then they have 4 mana to actually flash it back. He does need 2 lands, but... or they need 2 lands, but they can put 1 in. Yeah. You'd keep the blast for Yorion? Yeah, Yorion's a little bit of a rough one. I think I do want a Pyroblast here. It's such a good threat against us that I want to make sure it's in the bin. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Now we get to untap. We get to exile that Uro. Nice. I think just play Dryad Arbor. I don't really want to attack. I'm gonna play Noble and pass. This means we can hold up Punishing Fire and get it back. I guess I can attack for 2 here and just speed up the clock, because we do have Punishing Fire for Icevein Coatl, which is nice. And they didn't force the Pyroblast, so I don't think they have a blocker here. I mean, to be fair, the Punishing Fire is just an extra 2 damage as well. We don't have to get it back. Dead of Winter. We can't do anything here. That's going to be fine. They do have 5 minutes on us as well, so hopefully that doesn't come into consideration. Yeah, exactly. It also, allowing them to have the Euro can be a little bit rough if we're trying to pressure them with this Klothys. Alright, what do we draw? Grove. Okay. Let's go after their Dead of Winter. Play Grove. I think here we're putting them to 6, put them to 4, put them to 2. So I don't think we want to cast the Jit here. I think we want to get in that extra hit with Punishing Fire, hopefully. Snapcaster. Brainstorm? I wonder if I just want to return the Punishing Fire here to make sure my opponent doesn't find Force of Negation. And just snap this off here. I guess they could also find Oko to make food. So it's definitely coming down to the wire. But then they need to fetch. Huh. Which would put him down to 3, which is actually lethal with this Punishing Fire. All right. Now if they fetch, they go down to 1, and then the Punishing Fire deals with them. So let's see what they draw into. Oh, they do have that. Okay, this is fine. Because now it's up to them to fetch in response. Yeah, so now we can... I mean, now's the time. Put him to 2. Punishing Fire you. I guess now they can fetch... Are they going to sword to their own dude? Okay. Now they get to go up to 5. Down to 1 again. Interesting. I guess they kind of have to. Food. Okay, go to 4. Ooh. Ah, interesting. Ah, I can't fetch in response to this? Rough. Hopefully that wasn't the decisive play. Okay, put him to 5, get back Punishing Fire, and then we can just loop it anyway. Yeah, they're gonna concede because we had it, thankfully. But I think I clicked there when I shouldn't have, and I should have fetched so we could get a red source to get back Punishing Fire without letting them to gain a life. Whew, clots, clots, clots. Not just good for cleaning up. Haha, clots are here to stay. Very nice. Okay. Very nice. Kooky, I'm with you. Klothys for president. Haha. Hey Shay, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? You play 3 in Modern? Interesting. Do you play Ponza? A deck very close to my heart that I used to play with like Primal Command. Very old school, but the new version actually looks really nice, really tight. All right. Would be nice to be on the play as well. Haven't had too many since about 4 years, but now it's mainstream. Yeah, it's interesting to see it come back. Yeah, very, very cool. I think this hand is okay, even as a one-lander. There's just such a high upside that I'm going to keep it. But it's a little bit risky, especially if the bird doesn't stick around. Flooded Strand. Flooded Strand pass. Alright. Come on, land. Ooh. I probably just want a Savannah here and then get Bird. Yeah, Pillage is really cool, especially they can also hit artifacts. That's really nice. Oh, Brainstorm. Okay. That's okay. Hmm. 4 Stone Rain, 3 Pillage. Yeah, it's really nice. Does Modern Ponza still play any Chandras as threats, and if so, which Chandra? I hope this isn't just like Standstill. that'd be pretty rough. Underground Sea, okay. Meddling Mage. Okay, this is gonna be Esper Vial. So I'm gonna assume we see Swords to Plowshares here. Knight. Okay, that's interesting. Come on, land. I think here it's just Sylvan Library. Just to allow us to dig more. Ren and 6 seems really good as well. Yeah, turn 2 Chandra seems really sweet. I've seen some players go like turn 2 Bloodbraid into Stone Rain, which just seems absurd. Scrubland. Soul Herd is pretty good. Alright, we got a 17. I can probably draw an extra card here. Knight again, that's really interesting. Okay. We're gonna pay for this and put the other Sylvan Library on top. And then what I'm gonna do is go... Savannah. I don't want to show the other creatures, the other colors yet. I'm definitely getting rid of the Soul Herder just now, just to get it out of the way. And then I think we're just going Green Suns here for Dryad Arbor. And then hold up Swords to Plowshares. What do I think of this Esper deck? I think it's a really good deck. I think it's probably the best creature-based deck in Legacy right now. Jeff Lynn, who put it together, has a really good sideboard guide on his Patreon. He recently won the Legacy Challenge with it. I think it's really good. I luckily just finished it in paper, which is really nice. But yeah, it's a pretty nice deck. The mana is a little bit rough, and the games where you don't start on Vial are very different to the games with Vial, a little bit like Death and Taxes. Another Soul Herder, okay. That makes me want to keep this Swords to Plowshares for the Soul Herder. Alright. Because of this double swords and the Oko, I think I can probably pay here as well. And just put the Windswept Heath on top. Plateau. Oko. Probably not too fast if they force this. We know one card is Recruiter, is our Soul Herder. So the other cards have to be Force and blue card. Yeah, if it's Force, it's really nice because then we have a sword for the Soul Herder, and can probably just take 3. Okay, well that's really nice. Opponent here may be thinking if they do have Force, they want to protect their Soul Herder so they can get an extra trigger off this Recruiter of the Guard. I'm not going to use the sword here because I do want to keep 2 for the Soul Herder just in case we do need 2. Yeah, they play Charming Prince, so stealing their stuff isn't as great as it could be. Unfortunately. And luckily they don't have any reach in the deck, so I don't mind using my life total as a resource and going down to the single digits here. So the deck is usually 4 Baleful Strix, 4 Meddling Mage, 4 Recruiter of the Guard, 1 Palace Jailer, 1 Venser, 1 Plague Engineer, 1 Flicker Wisp, 4 Vials, 3 Swords, 4 Brainstorm, 4 Soul Herder, 1 Peacekeeper. There we go. Ah, and Baron. There we go. I think that makes up the 39 or 40. Oh, that's cool. I like that a lot, especially with the legendary status. You can draw a pretty large number of cards. Alright, so they're going with Soul Herder. And now before we go to the end step, we can Swords the Soul Herder. And if they have a Force, which it looks like they do, we have the backup Force. So the backup Sword, which is really nice. Because losing a Strix there is huge as well, because it's not just a creature, it's also a draw card. So now hopefully with Jide we get to take over this game. But it is looking pretty tough for my opponent here. Yeah, Punishing Fire as well is just so good. Put on top. Put on top. Play a land. I'm just going to create another... I'm going to make this a creature. Play Jit. Equip Jit. I probably just want to swing with the Dryad Arbor here. But yeah, it's pretty tough for my opponent. I don't want to attack with both, because if they have swords for the Dryad Arbor, then we go down to 1. I don't think they do have a way of reach, but it probably doesn't really matter. But I think there I'd be happy just to attack with the Dryad Arbor instead of both. Sideboarding is going to be interesting. So sideboarding, I don't like the Teeg. I do like the Collector Ouphe and the Knight. I don't think I want the Forces. I don't want to go down on cards against my opponent who's probably just playing the Vials. The blast effects are interesting as well. I could probably see some amount of blast effects coming in, even just to deal with Soul Herder. The Stoneforge Mystic package is pretty good. Ramunap's really nice because their mana is quite terrible. I'm going to go down on probably one Sylvan Library. They can be pretty aggressive. Oh, they have Strix as well, which is actually an artifact. That's very correct. This is pretty interesting. So let's quickly look at... We have a minute. Let's look at a list. Esper Vial. Let's look at Jeff's list. So Jeff's won the Legacy Challenge. We're probably looking at a post-board list with maybe some number of Gilded Drake, definitely the Plague Engineers. Remorseful Cleric, I think, will come in if they're naming Knight of the Reliquary with their Meddling Mages. Rest in Peace is probably coming in as well. I might actually drop down on a Knight. We can find them with Green Suns. I'm going to cut a Noble. Yeah, Plague's a pretty big one, so maybe I actually want to just drop 2 Nobles and bring back in the Knight. I think this is looking pretty good. I do like the mix of Elemental Blasts as well, because it means that Meddling Mage can't cut off just the one if we bring in only Pyroblasts or only Red Elemental Blasts. Everything else kind of has its place, so I think we might just go ahead with this 60. The Punishing Fires, definitely, I feel like they make it better. If we do see Rest in Peace, I'll probably take out Klothys. This hand is still pretty fantastic, so I'm going to keep this. Yeah, Gilded Drake is doing really well, especially since Esper Vial has been ticking up as well. You have a lot of players going for it. Taiga. Alright, I'm going to keep this fetch land around for now because I might want it for Sylvan Library. So let's just go with Taiga into Bird. This also means I can hopefully Oko their Aether Vial, but we'll have to see what happens. They could go for Meddling Mage here. They don't have any 1-drops they can put in off the Aether Vial, which is nice. Meddling Mage is good. It's also nice because it means we can't really Oko the Aether Vial and give them a 3/3. They're going to name Swords. That's interesting. Huh. I'm probably okay with hitting the Vial and losing the Oko. Because if we go Oko this turn, then next turn we can go Swords on Meddling Mage, or Punishing Fire Meddling Mage, and then Swords the 3/3. So let's do that. I think turning off the Aether Vial is pretty crucial here. And I don't mind trading it for the Oko in this position. It also makes Wasteland a hell lot better as well. Wasteland, interesting. Do they have another Meddling Mage? Or another Vial? Okay. That's pretty good. Oh, Wasteland. Okay. Now this is getting interesting. I'm pretty happy to go after their mana here. I'm going to Brainstorm, that's fine. I can now just hold up this Punishing Fire. I don't think there's anything that's going to hurt me for doing it in their turn. Okay, so they are Brainstorm locked, which is definitely something to consider. So let's go with Punishing Fire on the Meddling Mage. Take the 3, untaps, hold up swords, and then also have Stoneforge Mystic. This is looking pretty nice. Another bird. I'm going to keep this because... Oh, they're going to have Surgical Extraction. Ooh! Ooh, we got a play. We got a sweet play. Swords on this. They're going to gain life. And then we can return the Punishing Fire to our hand before the Surgical resolves. Nice. That's one for the highlight reel. That is very cool. That is very cool. Nice. Interesting. So opponent actually getting hit there by not doing it in their turn. That is very cool. But now we're at a interesting point. I think I'm okay to play out the second bird here. If they have Plague Engineer, they have Plague Engineer. And then they will literally get 2 birds with 1 stone. But I think that's fine. Just to get my colors online, let's go for a Trop and play the bird. Two cards in my opponent's hand. So I guess they have to be, in the top 3, have to be land and Plague Engineer. Which isn't the easiest thing to achieve. The mana base alone can buy you a cool car. Yeah, there's a few jewels in here. There are a few jewels in here. But yeah, looking pretty good. Esper Vial can be a rough matchup. They just have so much value. And they can usually pump out threats with their Aether Vial pretty quickly. But if you can really punish their mana base and go after Vial aggressively, you can come out on top. Oh, it's just going to be a pass back. Okay. It's pretty nice for us. Green Suns. Oh, okay. Interesting. I think Green Suns for Night of Autumn here is pretty good. We did bring it in, right? We did. Alright, let's do that. Nothing to put in as well. That's really rough. All right. Fourth mana. It's just gonna be Jailer. Okay, interesting. I guess we can draw into an exalted creature and fly over. Oh, swords is still pretty good. I think here we want to go for... Stoneforge. And then probably the Sword of Fire. Jide's pretty good as well, but at least the sword means I can hopefully, if I draw into a land, attack with both Bird and Stoneforge Mystic. I'm gonna brainstorm. Okay. Yeah, Pro Blue is pretty nice as well. And then drawing 2 cards a turn is going to be really nice because to keep the Monarch on their side, they're going to have to keep applying pressure on the board, which doesn't suit too well to Punishing Fire, which means I want to save the Swords to Plowshares in case they have Meddling Mage to then name one of these, and then hopefully we can destroy it with the other. Could also see something like Plague Engineer here. I think they should attack first. There's no downside to not attacking. Unless they want to keep it back. Okay. This means they have some sort of answer. Which is interesting. They know the card they're going to draw as well because they brainstormed it back on top. Recruiter's going to be fine. What do they find? Plague. Okay. So here, just before they draw, let's Punishing Fire the Recruiter. So then they need Swords to Plowshares. And we need to draw a land here. Oof. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So I think the best play here is to put the sword on a bird. Because I probably rather them swords a bird than swords the Stoneforge Mystic because of Plague Engineer. Yeah, I think in case of another Surgical, I didn't want to get it back. So yeah, I think the play here is just to, you know, if they have swords, they have swords, but... And now it's now a case of probably floating a green mana and playing the Noble Hierarch. So that I have 3 different creatures or creature types. Soulherd is the card that I really don't want my opponent to have. That would be pretty rough. Wasteline's not too bad. I guess it can hit Grove, which means we can't get back the Punishing Fire. Unless they don't name Bird here. Plague's okay. Yeah, I think they will go with Human here. It also just hits the most amount of creatures in my deck as well. To be fair, I can do 6 this turn as well. They went for Bird, interesting. Relic Water's pretty good. Rough. That's a great draw. Oh, Jit. Ah, too slow. I think he would just go Swords on the Plague and then attack with the Stoneforge Mystic with Exalted, which they have to block. Wow, they're not going to block. Huh. We will get 2 counters and make it a 4/3. And then I'll play the Jide. I think that is fine. Yeah. You'll go. I drew a card. You're playing with Jailer in my Maverick. It's pretty good. Yeah, it is pretty good. It's definitely meta dependent. It can be pretty rough if it does fall back on you. Like against a card like Young Pyromancer, they can just go wide around it. Or against Goblins, it can be pretty rough. But if you know your meta, then it's a pretty great card to play. Venser, okay. Probably bounce the Knight, yeah. Oh, and they have Karakas? Okay, so we get to Karakas the Venser. And then attack in with the Jide? This is a really interesting game. They have 2 cards. So we're definitely playing a land. I probably want to keep this open in case I draw into Swords to Plowshares. Return this. I don't want them to block with Venser and then bounce it themselves, because then we don't get Jide counters, but at least here we do. Unless they have swords. They're gonna block. Okay. Interesting. That's very interesting. Now the question is, do I want to deal with the Relic Water now, or do I want to allow them to have Venser up? I think it's okay to keep the Jide triggers around. Especially if I can put it on the Noble and attack with 2 creatures. That's pretty awesome. I think Wasteland is probably their best draw, so they can have the Karakas Venser lock online. Okay. They're just going to draw. Is there a Wasteland in the bin? There is. Okay. That's interesting. I wonder if there's a play where we want to go Green Suns for Ramunap and get back Wasteland. Yeah. And I assume because we're doing that, we want to tap the Karakas. They could also Venser this if they have another swords. Yeah, at least they don't have Vial as well. That's pretty rough. Ooh. Oh, did we take it out? No, we didn't. Good. Okay. And there's Wasteland. All right. So now we can attack. And in response to them casting Venser, we can hit the Karakas. They probably just cast Venser here and bounce the Stoneforge Mystic. And this is fine. I could use the Jitter counters now, but I think I'm okay. They usually only play one Karakas, so at least this means we can next turn attack with the Noble Hierarch as well as the Ramunap. The 2/3 body is just so good as well here as well. Say it once more. We can waste them off mana as well, which is nice. I'll probably just keep going after some of their black mana. This is interesting. What's this? White and black. Plague. Okay, that's fine. Probably naming human. Yep. Meddling Mage is fine. Stoneforge, okay. That's very interesting. Huh. Let's see if we can draw into Swords to Plowshares, because then we can Sword Wasteland. Oh, we can get back Grove. Oh, wow. Okay. I think we're just going neg 2. And then attack with the Ramunap. Oh, they're double blocking, they're triple blocking, okay. Probably this. And now just play the Stoneforge Mystic. And probably just get Batterskull. I do want to keep these Gaddock Teeg around in case they draw into Soul Herder and want to bounce something. Or we can destroy the Soul Herder in response. But fun games. We do have to watch the clock as well. That's probably something to consider. Opponent just attacking, yeah. Gonna take it. Three cards in my opponent's hand. Recruiter, okay. It's gonna resolve. What can they have? Soul Herder isn't the greatest here because of Jit. Maybe Flicker Wisp? Nah, it's not that great either. Hey, Coop Player, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Baron. When it ETBs, return up to 1 out the target creature planeswalker to its owner's hand. Huh. Okay. I think that just bounced the Stoneforge here, yeah. That's pretty good. I think it's just Stoneforge and Knight of Boredom. I could have killed it, but I think here we're just gonna go for Knight. I think gain life is probably the relevant part here. And then play this Stoneforge. And there's nothing left? Yeah. Yeah, Soulherd is the main reason why I'm keeping this Jide around, or at least the counters. Spellseeker's pretty good. You can go and get Swords to Plowshares. This is fine. We go to 10. Another swords. Rough. I think I'm happy just to take this. Oko. I'm not doing a whole lot here. I think it's Skull here, and perhaps also just hold up, play Dryad Arbor. But it's coming down to the wire. If they have like a bounce spell for this germ, it's pretty bad. Like a Flicker Wisp, I guess. Yeah, just way too much value from Esper. Just so hard to crush it down. Yeah, they kept the Monarch way too long, of course. It's just tough because we couldn't keep up with the value. Unearth Engineer? Yeah. Alright, we might as well take the time away from them. We do have 3 minutes on them, which is worth considering. But yeah, it's sadly too slow. I think it might be Klothys that comes out. They're most likely playing Rest in Peace. It might just be a Noble in the play. I think it is just a Noble in the play. Blasts are interesting, but there's not too many targets, so we'll just see how this plays out. But yeah, tight games. Always pretty fun. A lot of interaction, which is nice. We would love to play first. And this hand is an Oko, but a slow one. I'm going to mulligan this. This is better. I'll keep this and bottom the Dryad Arbor. I'm going to go with Forest Pass. And then turn to Stoneforge Mystic. No Vial from them is pretty big. Wooded Foothills, okay. Huh. I'm going to go for Jide here, because I can also fetch up Dryad Arbor next turn and play Jide in the same turn, which I think is relevant. Strix is going to be okay. Ooh. Yeah, I'm still happy to go for this plan. Fairy's pretty good. They can bounce the Jide, but we can go and get Dryad Arbor end step anyway to kill it. So this is actually going to be okay. Now I think here I just want to get Ramunap into play to make sure I have two creatures around for a Palace Jailer. Yeah, I guess they could have kept the Baleful Strix back, but obviously they had different plans, which is interesting. Spellseeker Swords to Plowshares? Green Suns is pretty interesting. I think because of the threat of Palace Jailer here, I just want to go for Knight of Autumn to have a creature on board that also deals with the Palace with the Baleful Strix. And now we can also hold up Sword, which is kind of nice. So if they have another mana base, another land here, I would wasteland the Savannah first. And then just do everything second combat. Because the Savannah is my last chance of having white right now. Which is pretty big. Interesting. What are they going to target? That. Okay. In response, we will swords this. Return this. I guess the Wasteland also holds the Dryad Arbor at bay, which means the Jide isn't connecting. So that's pretty interesting. So we can play Knight as just a 4/3 and then hold up Punishing Fire, which is pretty good. Brainstorm's okay. Yeah, it's very interesting to see how well this Wasteland is working out for my opponent, but also it means we're getting access to white for so much longer than we should be because of Dryad Arbor and Jide being such an issue for my opponent. Meddling Mage is fine. They kind of have to name Jide here. So unfortunately for them, we get to go Punishing Fire on Meddling Mage, untap. They still haven't Wastelanded us, so we get to go play Jide, play a land, equip here, attack with the Knight. That was pretty huge. That was a massive change in the game. And now we have the advantage with both Jide counters, a bigger creature, and Punishing Fire in the bin, and 2 minutes on the clock. So sadly, the one downside of Esper Vial is it is a very grindy deck, so you are going to be going to time a lot of the time. But yeah, I felt like this Wasteland was just a little bit unused this whole game, where they were just trying to keep the Dryad Arbor off the table, but they didn't do it early. They also have 6 cards and no Vial, which just changes things so much because they're on a 1 spell a turn clock, whereas with Vial you're at least getting 2 spells a turn, maybe even 3. Yeah, I think they really needed to hit their 4th colored mana source and then have the Wasteland available for something else. But now they're just, unsure, they're thinking, the time's like going down. Like 2 minutes is not enough time to win with this deck when I'm at 19 life. And also have Punishing Fire and the Jide. It's sadly just going to be a go to time kind of deal here. But in an untimed event, this would be really interesting. I think Esper Vial could still get through this because they definitely have the tools. So here, because we have Double Grove, I'm pretty happy to try to get back the Punishing Fire. Yeah, exactly. They still have 6 cards in hand, but sadly it's just not doing a whole lot here. Noble's nice, means we can just attack with a few more points. I might actually try to win this game before the minute. Hey Odds, hope you're well. Thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. Good morning to you too. Snap into Sword's going to be okay. This probably means that I want to not allow them to block and have to use the swords on the... I guess it doesn't matter, but... They now definitely want to use the Knight. Yeah. Yeah, Snap's interesting. I've seen Snap like as a one-of in the board sometimes, but I haven't seen it too recently. Maybe if they are playing Unearth as well, then they are... Maybe they have like a bigger Spellseeker Snapcaster package than most traditional decks. Unearth Meddling Mage. That's okay. I guess they can name Punishing Fire here, which is kind of cool. Brazen's pretty sweet. Strix is fine. Still going to return this. They're going to play a Vial. That's really interesting. I thought you would have kept up Wasteland to hit the Dryad Arbor. Oof, okay. Guess that's pretty nice. Because now we can go equip the Jide to the Dryad Arbor. Tick down on the Strix. And then if they want to trade for the Meddling Mage, they can. But then that just turns back on the Punishing Fire. I could even make this bigger if I wanted to, but... That's nice. We can tick this up. I should have left up a red source, to be fair, but... Yeah, sadly they're done for just because of time, but I think otherwise it would have been a really interesting game to finish off. Yeah, making the Dryad a 3/3 is very interesting, because it also means they can't trade with the Meddling Mage, which I like. Wisp is cool. Kill this. This turns the Punishing Fire back on for the Flicker Wisp, which is nice. But yeah, GG's. Unfortunate. You never like Magic going to time, especially in really interesting games like this, but that is Magic. So we went 4-1, which is pretty cool. Which is really nice, especially for a 4-color deck. I think it actually was pretty nice. There wasn't any real moments where I was struggling to find a certain color. I think Mark Strassman, who made this list, has done pretty well with the mana base. I was a little bit skeptical of the one basic, but it worked out really nicely. The 6 mana dorks were really nice as well, because it just meant we could cast Oko or Knight on turn 2 more effectively. So we beat 4-color Snow, Esper Vial. We went down to Rug Delver. We got up against Ninjas and one other deck. Hey Strass, nice, very cool. Very nice to have you here. So I think this is one of your older lists. I was going through and doing the Maverick monthly and I came across it, which is very cool. So yeah, I think it's sweet. I think because of the color requirements, it's a little bit greedy to play something like Blast Zone, or maybe even like Horizon Canopy is just a little bit risky. But yeah, the jewels are really nice. Most of them do sack to Knight, which is great. Klothys single-handedly won us a game against, I believe it was Snow, that just couldn't answer it, which was great. Yeah, that's what I wasn't too sure, because if JPA was on Show and Tell, I assume like the majority of these cards are coming in. So I'm not too sure how to board for something like Show and Tell or Sneak and Omnitel with this deck list, but yeah, it can be pretty tough, especially something like maybe Dredge. We do have some conditional cards like Scavenging Ooze and Ramunap and Klothys, which is nice, and then just the Bog out of the board. I did see your other list with 2 crop rotations and a little bit of a package, which was really cool. But yeah, I like this list a lot. It was really fun. Also, Punishing Fire was actually a lot better than I thought it would be. It was still okay against Rug Delver, but obviously we did just have to have the Swords to Plowshares for Dreadhorde when we saw it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Probably a little bit of tweaking that I could do with my own play on this list. I think coming from Green White Black Maverick to a 4-color list, I could probably fetch better, just knowing which lands are probably more important overall. It does seem pretty good against Rug. We had a little bit of an issue where they just really went after our mana, which was great. Punishing Fire is okay against Delver, but it's a little bit mana intensive against things like Tarmogoyf, Hooting Mandrills, even Dreadhorde Arcanist and Oko. it's a little bit tough because it is 5 mana in total to get it back with Grove. And that's against the deck with Daze, with Wasteland, with Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, which is pretty tough. But yeah, Punishing Fire was pretty nice. And when we wanted it, we were able to get it back from the graveyard with Grove. I thought this list was sweet. It was actually really nice playing with Stoneforge again. I haven't played with Stoneforge Mystic probably since, at least in Maverick, since Oko and Dreadhorde Arcanus were seeing play together. But yeah, I think we dropped one Punishing Fire against Rug, which is cool. Just because we can bring in something like a Pyroblast or an Elemental Blast to deal with Delver and Oko, which means we can take out one piece that doesn't really deal with the other threats that they have. But this was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Really cool to get the 4-1. Unfortunately, Rug just got us, but yeah, obviously JPA is JPA. I'm going to quickly see who else is online to see who I can send you guys over to, because hopefully there's another Legacy streamer. I know that Mo Panda plays. I'll see what Nathan's actually playing. Okay, cool. Nathan's actually playing Red Prison. Okay, so I will be back on Sunday morning. I do have a pretty special piece of content coming out, hopefully tomorrow, with Strass Daddy regarding Punishing Maverick and kind of how he likes to board and how he thinks the deck is currently positioned, which should be pretty cool. So looking forward to that. Until then, I hope you guys stay safe, and I will hopefully see you on Sunday. If you want to find me on YouTube, you can find all my videos here. If you want to find me on Twitter, you can reach out to me here. You can, of course, find me at thegreensunzenith.com. That is it. Thanks, guys. Stay safe. Hope you're all well. We'll see you next time. Cheers.